My father always told me football is a gift from God. And God gave you this gift, just as he gives a song to a musician or a singer. So you have to take care of your health, how you prepare yourself. You always have to respect your opponent. And if you do all that, then you'll be a great player, and no one will stop you. It's a story that I have to thank God for, because it's such a great story. It's very emotional.
Edson Orantes do Nascimento, Pele, more than just a name, more than just a footballer. Here on the streets of Santos is where Pele's incredible story in football begins. It was in this city that he ruled the world. In Santos, it's impossible to escape his impact. He's a symbol of success and a symbol of Brazil's beautiful game. The son of an undistinguished footballer, he never knew anything other than a footballer's life. He couldn't have become anything else.
sempre dizia, eu não quero que você vá jogar. Eu não quero que você...
My mum would always say, I don't want you to play. I don't want you to become a footballer. Look at your father, he's injured. And now we've got serious problems. We don't have enough money to buy food. I want you to be a doctor or a teacher, but definitely not a footballer.
Eu não quero que você seja jogador de futebol.
At 15, I trained for the first time with Santos, and after just one training session, they signed me up. And sometimes I joke with my mum after that, saying, Mum, can you imagine if I'd stayed in Bauru and become a teacher? Or a doctor? I had to be a footballer.
His ascent to the top happened so quickly that he barely played a game before catching the eyes of the Brazil coach in the run-up to the 1958 World Cup. It was a surprise decision, even for the player himself.
I didn't expect to be called up to the Brazilian team. I was only 16 and I wasn't even a regular starter at Santos yet.
Nem era ainda o titular do Santos Futebol Clube.
On the day when everyone was called up, we saw that little black kid and we thought, who's that? In Rio de Janeiro, we didn't know who he was.
Despite an injury forcing him out of the first 2 games, Pele's impact was devastating. He was instrumental in helping defeat the much-fancied Soviet Union and send Brazil into the latter stages of the tournament. A star had been born.
He recovered for the good of football. He was a very strong kid anyway, very muscular. And that's how Pele emerged into the world of football.
His entrance onto the world stage occurred during the 1958 finals in Sweden. At the tender age of just 17, he was the star of the tournament, scoring 6 goals, including 3 in the semi-final and 2 in the final. The teenager emerged from nowhere to light up the tournament with his dazzling skills. In the quarter-finals, Pele scored a fine solo goal to give Brazil a 1-0 victory against Wales. The semi-final against France was billed as a contest between the young prodigy, Pele, and France's free-scoring Just Fontaine. The script was written for Pele, and he grabbed the headlines with an opportunistic second-half hat-trick. Pele's goals in a comprehensive 5-2 win guided Brazil to the final, where they faced the hosts Sweden. Stockholm was the venue, and the stage was set for Pele to prove his status as the young prodigy. In the second half, and with Brazil winning 2-1, Pele scored a wonder goal. He produced a magical piece of skill before providing the finishing touch. Without doubt, a defining moment in FIFA World Cup history. In the final minute of the match, Pele scored his second goal with a looping header. Brazil won 5-2, and with it came their first FIFA World Cup triumph.
If ever there was a journey that represented Pele's step from boy to man, then this was it. He went to Sweden relatively untried and unknown. He came back to Brazil as the world's most famous player, and the boy from Bauru took to his newfound status as easily as he'd taken to international football.
He was born to be famous. In this aspect, he is someone who craves fame, and he knows how to deal with it.
From 1958 onwards, Pele and Santos were in demand all over the world. Everyone wanted a ticket to the greatest show in town. and Santos' number 10 received the sort of adulation normally reserved for pop stars.
Santos played all over Europe. We played a lot there, in Germany, Italy, and we rarely ever lost either. I think it's fair to say that Santos became so well known because we toured the world.
Everyone wanted to see Santos play, and especially Pele, the world's greatest player.
As the goals rained in, he retained that same humility that had made him such a star in the first place, and his rise to fame as a black man from humble origins resonated globally in an era of civil rights and racial integration.
Bumping 411 Productions.
In '58, all I wanted to do was play. I didn't have that pressure of people telling me I had to win or I had to play well. But after playing in '62 and '66, where I was injured, 1970 was extremely difficult for me because there was a lot of pressure.
Having been crowned the best in South America, Santos travelled to Lisbon's Stadium of Light to face European champions Benfica in the Intercontinental Cup.
I think it was one of the most important matches of my career. Certainly one of the most significant games for me.
Benfica had been supremely confident of victory, but Pele would give them a lesson in football they'd never forget.
When we got out onto the pitch, it was 4-0, before they'd even opened their eyes. It was incredible, just a fantastic exhibition of football.
Pele produced a virtuoso display that defied superlatives. A hat-trick and a brutal 5-2 win bore witness to a player at his destructive best. Europe's finest had been humbled. Pele and his teammates were unstoppable, becoming a South American equivalent of European giants Real Madrid.
We were like a second national team. That was the secret to our success. And then at the heart of it all, we had Pele.
Santos' number 10 had established himself as the best of a talented generation of Brazilian footballers. He seemed to possess no weaknesses, combining pace and power with grace and subtlety.
He was a player of the highest level. Even today, I still haven't seen anyone I can compare him to.
Pele made everything look easy. He had great vision, he could dribble, he was quick.
Sometimes I had to mark him as he moved about a lot. Whenever Santos were losing, he became a monster. He wanted to win, whatever it took.
A hero in his adopted city of Santos, Pele now had to prove himself all over again on the international stage. In the build-up to the '66 World Cup, he was at his peak, having just top-scored in his 9th consecutive Sao Paulo tournament. Yet chaotic organisation behind the scenes threatened to derail Brazil's World Cup campaign.
With only 2 or 3 days until our first game, we still didn't know what the team was. So it was really confusing for everyone.
A very well organised team. We played with virtually the same team throughout all the qualifying games, so we knew each other very well and how to play together.
Yet if one player was going to stand out in that team, it had to be Pele. In Brazil's opening game against Czechoslovakia, he played with vigour, determination and imagination, lifting his teammates to a 4-1 win. Brazil had laid down their marker for the rest of the competition, and Pele appeared destined to leave the global stage on a high. Since his retirement, Pele has become an ambassador for the game. A whirlwind of pace and power on the field, intelligent yet humble off it, Pele transcends the game of football.
Pele's star will never burn out. Because even after all these years, since we've stopped playing, Pele is still shining wherever he goes.
Pele is a special player. There'll never be another player like him. I've always said that he's like an alien, that he came from Saturn, because he did incredible things.
I now get to tell my children, my family, even my friends that I had the extraordinary honour of playing with the guy I consider to be the greatest footballer of all time.
He was the complete player. You can't say a man with 1,300 goals is a weakness. He has to be the best.
Edson Arantes do Nascimento. Pele. More than just a name, more than just a footballer.